Uh, what do you think about speed of sound?
The sound. Okay, this was going on. We got vibrations that's creating fusion and friction, like the atmosphere. Then that produces sound, and then after the sound, the light get constructed, and the light take the shape and form of the sound because the sound is the volume, the mass. So that's always going to be the invisible form, and then the light take the shape and form, and it moves in a direction of the sound. That's how we see rainbows, clouds, and everything. So first we have a vibration that's going in a certain direction. That fusion and friction and pressure produces a sound that is an external representation of that. And then the event that happens, we get to see the light interact in that area. But light itself don't travel.
Uh, yeah, yes, and I know that light don't travel, but it's like these scientists they talk about speed of the sound, like like my voice right now, as if there's
That
like
moves. That moves, and then the light is the representation of once the movement of the sound is the representation of the interactions of the fusion and friction. The event be in that location after the movement's already happened, and now we got to wait for another alchemy to create it another situation. And based on the position and the density level, we might see the event like the light be at a more distant or closer position, and the amount of mass we get to experience may be larger or smaller. And that's how we get winter and fall. But for the most part, yeah, the sound is moving, just like the vibration is moving. Because we can experience it when the wind moves. That's the vibration. Then when it crashes into something else, it creates a sound on that level, right? And then the sound is going to be the mechanism of how we're getting ready to see what comes from that crashing. We get the crashing, we get the sound, and the sound is the explosion of what we're getting ready to see, which is the event, the light and the reflection. And take that concept and make it micro, and then you'll see how all sand particles and things is made, all the way down to how we make the mind and made ourselves here, and things of that nature, and how we making the sun and the moon, and what these things are.
"Hmm, okay, so the sound is not like it's not air, right?
Yeah, that's basically
Like
what it is.
it's air.
Yeah. So
Oh,
air is an outcome after the event already happened, or would be no pressure for it to move in a direction. So what moved it in that direction? The event. Then the event creates the sound, and the sound is moving in the direction of the event. But the reason that the sound, both events crash, both density levels. This is how it's got water falls in underneath the sea. This is how we accumulate clouds based upon this, the waters below, and that waters that they call it above. So when that interact, it creates the sound, and then the sound moves in the direction of those interactions. So once that sound moves in the direction of those interactions, this how if you too far away, you can't hear a gunshot. But if you close to that event, you can hear the gunshot. But then if you close enough to that event, you can actually see the spark from someone's gun if you right next to them. So it's showing you that there's an event happen. And when that fusion and friction happen, there's sound happen. And then after the sound, you get to see the event in that position because the sound is no longer moving. It crashed when they was moving. And that whole movement of them crashing together creates the event in that relative position. Then when they do it again right next to it, we get a different position of the sun. And we got 7 different positions of the sun. But you could take that micro and break it down like firecrackers or a gun to make it simple in your mind now. When you let's say you stay 4 blocks up the street, you might not hear the gunshot. Let's say you stay 2 blocks up, you gonna hear it. So you close enough for that sound that to be emitted to travel to you, right? But you ain't close enough to see where that event is happening, the sun itself, the gun spark itself. Now let's say if you right next to the person who shot it, you're able to hear it and see it. So, but the event happened when he pulled the trigger. So take the trigger and the lever hitting the bullet as 2 different water cycles at different density levels crashing as fusion and friction. Take the sound that happened when the lever hit the bullet as the sound traveling now through the event. Now take the spark from the gun as you only going to see that spark from the end of the gun because that's where the event is at, the sun. Now the person going to have to move the gun over and do that again in another position. because that's how you make the spark in the first place. So that's letting you know the first spark ain't travel. Light don't travel. The person got hit by the bullet, not the spark of the gun. So that's letting you know on a micro scale to make it make sense. Light don't travel, even if it's nighttime.
Yes.
If all the street lights cut off, the light that was getting emitted just gonna stop. It ain't gonna float up the street. So light don't travel, it don't have a shape. It take the shape and form of the heavier form, the sound and the atmosphere, the lever hitting the bullet, the event that makes it, the fusion and friction, and then the light takes the shape and form of that because it's the lighter form, light. And therefore it moves in a direction of the heavier forms, what's invisible at the moment. The lever hitting the bullet, the atmosphere is crashing together as above, so below, and then the sound it made. And you just hear the sound, you can't see it, but for the most part, you just look at the event. And this is how people's psyches can confuse them when they think the sun is moving and the sun has a shape, where the sun is only taking the shape of the atmosphere that crashed in and made that event, and the sound is the only thing that's traveling. So we're too far away from that location, far east, where the event actually happens. So the further you go east, it just be a strong storm, like you going in space, but you on land. And therefore, we're not close to it, so we don't hear that sound. So we're in a sweet spot where we can make organs to not catch the radiation and the destruction and things of that nature from that far east. And then for the most part, but it's the event is so mass because our atmosphere is big, crashing with the atmosphere, the waters above, that close to the east in direction, that event sparked a mass light. And that's what the sun is in actuality.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, though.
And
That's it.
real shit. Shout out to Muna.
Re-